Hey guys, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
How are you, Siva?
Yeah, fine, sir.
All going good?
Yes, sir, going good.
Great, great, great. Let's wait for a few minutes. People are joining. I can see Raj. Hi Raj, how are you?
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. How was the weather in the USA right now?
Now a little bit chilly.
Chilly. What is the temperature in US?
Temperature here, let me see my mobile. I live in Kentucky, is 33 degree.
Three, right?
33.
33. Okay. You know
33
how
means like if you go to the Fahrenheit, how much it gonna be?
33 degrees Celsius, right? You're talking, right?
Yes.
Okay, okay. In I 33 Fahrenheit, even I have to convert. So in
Yeah.
India, like it's in New Delhi capital, it's very chill, around 1 or 2 degree temperature. So very cold is here. So almost chilly weather also here. Good. Thank you for joining the
It's
session. Yeah,
1
tell me.
degree. 1 degree
One.
Celsius.
Oh, so almost we are in the same situation. Little bit, right? Good, good. What about others? Abhijit, Ashwani, Mohit, Rakesh, Sarthak. Hope you all are doing well. All right, so let's. I believe few people is still missing, not join. I don't know why they not join. They should join. Okay, no worry. We can start. Probably they will join late. I don't know. 2, 3 people are still missing here. They've done their enrollment, but I don't know why they're not join.
Mhm.
Okay, let's start our session. Okay, so this is our day one session. Okay, so probably we'll talk in most of the time in English, but sometime we also try to talk in Hindi because we all know Hindi, and I'm expecting we can talk in both of the language. So if you guys uncomfortable any point of view and you feel like this is something not understandable in the English language or Hindi language, if you are going the English, then please stop me and ask the right question so I can able to give the right answers, right? So this is how it is going to work, right?
Sure, sure.
So all right. So let's start. So again, like this is officially like Palo Alto we are launching from today, and now we are going to discuss few things we already have done discussion. So if someone is joining very first day, so I would recommend just go and watch the previous 2 videos where I just discuss about the basic thing about the firewalls, right? Why we need a firewall, what is the basic principle of the firewalls, and how firewall is going to serve like different requirement in the your real networking infrastructure environment, right? So this is what we have discussed in last 2 class, but today I'm going to discuss more about that, right? So what I'm going to discuss today, because we know that why we need a firewall and what is the purpose, so now we just have to understand, and in addition of that, what I also have discussed, why we need a Palo Alto firewall, right?
Sir, 1 minute.
Yeah, please tell me.
We are need to record the session, I think.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I always forget, right? Thank you so much for reminder. Okay, so
Pankaj bhai, one question.
yeah, tell me.
Before this one, let's say after
Mm-hmm.
finishing this class or whatever, do we need to know the like routing protocols like BGP, OSPs, those things also we have to know for this firewall security engineer or no?
Okay, that's really good question, Raj. And let me just answer your question. And we can have a discussion anything because we are just doing this startup and we are ready to take off our plane. So before taking off our plane, we can clear all the doubts whatever you having in your mind. So this is again a very good questions. Although I explain, but you joined the first day, so let me just explain you, right?
Okay.
So what is the requirement, right? Whenever
Mhm.
you want to become the any engineer in terms of the Palo Alto, or more generic, I'm just talking about the security engineer, right?
Okay.
So if you want to become the security engineer, what you should must know. So that is a more important. So I keep emphasizing to all my students, at least you should having knowledge of CCNA level, basic networking fundamental, basic network fundamental. If you having that much knowledge, then only you join any security sessions. Like I'm not saying like you just join the
You are
Palo Alto
recruiting
or any ASA firewall. You should have the basic. And what the basic is, you know how to configure the static route. You should know, right? What is the VLAN? You should know how routers work, how switches work. You should know how the cable is going to be connected. You should know what is the trunking things, like how the VLAN trunk port, access port, that kind of the level at least you should have. Along with that, if you're having the basic RIP knowledge, routing information protocols, or OSPF knowledge, that is going to add additional advantage to grasp the routing things also in the firewall scenario. Why? Because in Palo Alto, I'm just focusing on the Palo Alto here, we having option where I teach you how to configure the static route. And if you want to learn, I will teach you how to configure the RIP, how to configure the OSPF, and how to configure the BGP, because these all features are supported by the Palo Alto Firewall. But they are the optional. If you want to understand more about the routing in the Palo Alto Firewall, and if you're having some your requirement, I'll definitely help you to understand. But a static route is must. It is keep going to be used. So I believe everyone is here who is just joining me in the class. They should having at least static route level of knowledge, and they just know what is the VLAN and how the access port is going to be configured and how the trunk port is going to configure. Is it clear, Raj, to you? I hope I able to answer.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming you also having at least, as you mentioned, like while discussion, you done the CCNA. So I believe you having this basic fundamental knowledge. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other question, guys? Anyone have? Or Raj, you having any additional question you may ask?
No, normally, last time I used to do the BGP also so vast, so many things over there, you know, like policy routing, all of those things. That's why in the firewall, we have
BGP, OSPF, these are the advanced, right? So
yeah.
that's why, like, it's not like very easy to just understand and you just keep it in mind. You just have to do a lot of practice, a lot of troubleshooting. Then probably you're able to understand how the BGP is working, how the OSPF is working, how the configuration, how the path manipulation is going to happen, how the different attributes. So for that, like we having one of the CCNP NRC batch, right? So where I keep dealing with this, you know, all the routing protocol concept, even the DMBPN, BGP, EIGR, advanced level IPv4, IPv6, so everything, MP-BGP also, right? MPLS and all. So that all is going to be covered, and it's around 50, 60 hour class again. And we just have to do a lot of brainstorming. No need to worry. For the Palo Alto, that CCNA level knowledge, it's absolutely fine. And I'm telling you, just not my word. If you're having the basic networking knowledge, I'm 100% sure you are going to learn this Palo Alto Firewall. It's a very easy to understand, very easy to configure. No need to worry at all. Very easy to understand, very easy to configure, and you can easily troubleshoot the things as well. So one of the easiest firewall available in the market, that is a Palo Alto, and that's why this firewall is, you know, very popular in the market. They're having a very good feature. They're having a very good way to, you know, just interact with the dashboards. So you can see this is the dashboard. Let me show you. Meanwhile, I believe I have the open the labs. So you can see this is a firewall dashboard. So once you'll get the lab access, I'll prepare this lab access this weekend definitely after this class and give it to everyone. So you can see these all things are looks like a beautiful dashboard, and you can do whatever you want to do on the dashboard. So it's getting load. After that, we'll get the very, you know, beautiful dashboard here. So you can see. So this is a dashboard here, and everything like general configuration. I'll discuss very separately each and every tab here, how the dashboard is designed, how can we customize it, and how we can delete the section, we can add the section, we can drag and drop the sections, and what is the meaning, what information we can see in that, these all sections. So there is a separate module when we start that our official module, probably from the Monday, then I will start this, initial access to the system and configuration management, how it is going to happen. So this module will discuss everything. So no need to worry. But today I will focus about again the continuation of the firewall series, because the 3 class I am taking here just focusing on the basic principle of the firewall, right? So basic of the firewall. So in this basic, we discuss first thing, why firewall. So in previous class, we discussed why firewall. Then we discuss why Palo Alto. These two, and the in this class also we discuss what what content and what section of the Palo Alto we are going to cover, right? So these things already we done the discussion in the past class, but let me just review, okay? So I'm just assuming you having the knowledge about these 2 certifications. If you completing this course, you just able to crack these 2 course very easily. So you can just self-explanatory both the section PCNSE and the PCNSA, and that the section, there is a 3 section in the Palo Alto portfolio. One is the Strata PS series, Prisma Access, and Cortex XDR. Many people even don't know what is a Strata, what is a Prisma, what is a Cortex XDR, and the firewall I am learning, it is belonging to which section? Either the Prisma Access, is a Strata PS series, or the Cortex XDR. No need to worry. I already explained, but let me brief again it. Might be someone having some kind of question in their mind. So we are going to cover this Strata PS series. In this, we are talking about the enterprise firewall. So we having a 2 kind of security. One is the enterprise security, and another is we having the cloud security. So if you talk about the cloud security, that where Prisma Access is going to come in a picture. When you are just talking about the enterprise security, Strata PS series is going to come in a picture, where we having a native firewalls like physical firewall, could be the virtual firewall, cloud firewalls. Your panorama is going to part of this particular. So you can see panorama is also going to part, your virtual firewall is also going to part, your physical firewall also going to part. So this yellow color we are going to cover in this particular module, and we are just going to cover this entire things, panorama understanding, VM, how the firewall is going to configure, how the physical firewall looks like. The physical and the VM firewall configuration would remain same. Only one could be the physical box, another could be the virtual box. That only difference is going to happen. But the concept, logic, configuration, everything is going to be remain same. Nothing is going to be changed. So no need to worry. When you move to the Prisma, it's more focused about the SASE solution, firewall as a service. They talk about the secure web gateway. They talk about the zero trust network access. They talk about the cloud native security platform, where they're talking about the cloud workload protections, cloud network security, cloud infrastructure entitlement management, SD-WAN solution. So these all come in the cloud flavors. So it's not like enterprise firewall solutions. So we are not going to touch this. The third product we have, that is a Cortex XDR. It's more about the monitoring, troubleshooting, just visualizing the data, how it is behaving, how the things is going on. So ये सारी चीजें हम इसमें बात करते हैं. That is more about the monitoring. So no need to worry about that. So I hope it is clear. This section we are going to cover, right? Now moving next. What next? So the next thing is, whenever you start any firewall, right? So we having 2 terms in our mind. So what those 2 terms you have? We having one of the firewall that we know as the legacy firewall, right? And the next thing we call next gen firewall. So there's a 2 word, right? So what is different between the legacy firewall and next generation firewall, right? So nowadays, whatever the latest firewall we have in a market, they all are next generation firewall. Almost, I can say every vendor using the firewall that is known as the next generation firewall. The old firewall basically is known as the legacy firewall. So old firewall, what was the old firewalls? Might be you heard about, like we having a Cisco ASA, or other vendor also having similar firewalls. So what they were doing and what next generation firewall is able to do, right? So we just have to understand this concept also, right? So let me just draw packet type first. So we just have to understand the packet. So whenever any firewall process the packet, what kind of the packet size they have and what kind of information they carry inside of the packet, that we have to understand. Then we can correlate what kind of the information they are carrying. So I'm just drawing some kind of the blocks you can see here. So might be more or less. So let me just draw here. I can okay. So let me just drop two more. Okay, so let me just write something here. So what information could be? So I'm just talking from layer 2. So we know that in any of the communication, we having a total 7 layer in the OSI model, right? And more specific, if we talk about the TCP/IP, we just having the 5 layers, right? We all know, but let me just write here. So we should able to correlate the things. So might be this is your application layer. It is very important, guys, to basic. Okay, so this is application layer, and this is your might be transport layer. This is a TCP IP layer. I'm just writing not OSI layer. So this having the TCP IP model, right? So this is transport layer. This could be your network layer, and this both could be one network access layer, or we can just write here more specific data link layer. Somewhere you find the 5 layer, somewhere you find the 4 layer, right? In TCP/IP, so no confuse, right? And this is the physical layer, right? So we all know that, right? So let me just again, what we use in the physical, we use the cables, right? Data link layer, what we use for the communication, MAC address. I hope this is, yeah, everyone is aware about MAC address. What we use the network layer, that is the IP address, right? All agree? And what we use the transport layer, that is again, that is the port numbers, right? And what use the on the application layer? So just an example, application layer use the application. And what is the application? So I'm just writing here, could be Facebook, one of the application, right? Use na Facebook application, you download from Play Store or iOS. Your YouTube is one of the application. So these are the application. I'm just giving an example. WhatsApp, whatever WhatsApp you're using, these are applications. So these are the application who work on the application layer. I'm using this particular Microsoft PowerPoint to explain the things with you all guys. So this is again one kind of application I'm using to just present my content so you can understand. So this is a part of the application, Microsoft application. So this is the application. So cable, why we use the cables? Cables we use to just carry the information. Let's say suppose this is the Rob and one is the Bob. So let me just draw the, here's one Rob and here's Bob, right? So Rob want to talk with Bob. So what is going to happen? So Rob and Bob must be connected with some kind of the media. So what is the media? There could be two media. One could be the wired media and another could be the wireless media, right? These are the media through where we can communicate, right? So this is a way Rod and Bob can communicate. So if I put a line between them, so they are connected with the wired. But if I try to connect through the air, so I need some kind of wireless AP access point, that all. I'm not going to talk, but anyhow, two media is going to be required through where Rob and Bob is going to be connect and they're going to talk. So let's say suppose Rob and Bob is wanted to talk to each other, then how they are going to talk, right? So Rob having some kind of the information, and this is the Rob PC, and from this PC he want to talk with the another PC, right? So this is the Rob PC, this is the Bob PC. So once Rob is going to talk with Bob, so it required some kind of the information while communicating it. So what those information would be, right? So let's try to fill this packet. So one information could be one thing, Rob need a cable, which is, I'm not going to draw here, or might be I can put here. Just think this is a cable is going to be connected here as a between the Rob and Bob. So this is a cable need to carry the information. So the green color is cable, right? So this cable is need to carry the information between the cable, through the cable, and how the information is going to carry, that is going to carry in form of the bits and bytes. That is known as a binary form. 0, 1 is the cable understand these only thing. 0, 1, 1, not 2 even. So this kind of the communication is going to happen. So you can just think this kind of the communication bit and bits form, it's going to be travel through the cables. But what are those bits? We just have to understand. So the bits could be your layer 2 informations. That is a MAC address. So that is known as the source MAC. So this is a source MAC and could be your destination MAC. This is the first thing. So let me just write here DMAC. So source MAC, destination MAC. Then what next? Layer 3 information, source IP. So could be the source IP and could be the destination IP. What next? Could be the source port and could be the destination port. So this is the first section you can see here. This is your layer 2 information. This is your layer 2 information. This is your layer 3 information. And this is your layer 4 information. You all agree? So let me write here. This is your layer 2 packet information. This is your layer 3 packet information. This is your layer 4 packet information. And what rest of the packet size? So this is your actual payload. So what is the payload? That is actual data you are sending from Rob to actual data. So let me just write here, actual data you sending from Rob to Bob. So this is one packet type we have. And when we have this kind of the packet communication, we call this is the our old firewall, or we call this is the legacy firewalls, right? So this is the one packet flow. This is the legacy firewall, and this is the new firewall, new, or we can say next gen firewall. So what is this next gen firewall? Packet headers. So in this again, we required this all information. So let me just write here. So again required source MAC. Again we require destination MAC. Again we required source IP. Again we required destination IP. Again we required source port. Again we required destination port. Here we required your application detail also. So applications, let me just here is the application, and this could be the additional field. I'm not writing here, so I'm just putting here some additional field. So you can just some or just think additional field, okay? And the finally you having the payload. So let me just write in the payload in the different color. So this is your payload and actual data. Actual data. So now if I'm again going to complete this particular package, so let me just see how it is going to be happen. So this is your one packet. This is your another packet. This is your another packet. This is another, and this is final. So again, we having a layer 2 information, right? We having the layer 3 information. We having the layer 4 information, and this is your layer 7 information. That is application, and this is the additional field that I'm going to explain later. What additional field are, right? That next generation firewall carry. I'll show you, right? But just think there is some additional things also going to be carried out during the communication, right? And then finally the actual data. So what we are able to see here, if I am just comparing these two particular packet flow, what we are able to see. So we are able to see old firewall having some kind of the limitations. That means legacy firewall having some kind of the limitations. At least they understand layer 2, they understand layer 3, they understand layer 4, but they not understand layer 7. This is the one problem we find out. And they also not having additional field where we can put advanced level thing if required to be happen. Next thing, the payload we call as a content. So I'm writing here, the payload we called as a content. And here also we having a content, right? Let me just use some other color. It's looked a little bit light. So let me just write here. So we called as a content. So what is content? So content means, let's say suppose I'm sending one email, right? And Rob is sending email to Bob, and he just want to share one of the Excel file as a report, or might be PPT as an attachment in the email. So the attachment which is going through Rob to Bob, that is acting as a content. So Rob is sending some content to Bob, which is actually part of the content and part of the payload. So even you're writing an email. So whatever your email content, let's suppose I'm just opening my notepad, and sorry, and let's suppose you are just opening notepad, and I'm just writing, my name is XYZ, and can you please call me? And this is the email, right? But whenever you just send this, it is again a content. It is going through the email. So this is again known as the content. So even whatever you're writing inside your email, inside your text, you are sending from one location to another, it is known as a content. So let's say suppose Rob is sending some content to Bob, but I don't want Rob should send such content which is very confidential to my company. So might be I have one confidential report, uh, which is like related to my contract or my project renewal, right? So I'm just related to project renewal, and I don't want to reveal this information to any my like competitor, right? So this is my confidential something, confidential project something, and I just want to make sure that nobody can share this information to anyone. Even Rob is part of this confidential, team, and he should not share this information from his office laptop to anywhere, or might be office desktop to anywhere by sitting in the office, right? So if I have a firewall here, let's suppose in between Rob and Bob, I have one firewall, right? And if this is the legacy firewall, again, if this is the legacy firewall, this doesn't having a feature who can understand what content the user is sending from A location to B location. So the content, whatever is coming from Rob, the firewall is simply going to process and pass from Rob to Bob. It is not going to make a concern what is happening inside of the like content. So this is another difference. So content inspection. If I'm talking about the inspection, that means content verification. What kind of data you are sending that firewall is basically not able to understand. So if firewall is not able to understand those content, then probably it is not good for me. So this is why old firewall was not capable to understand the content. But if you replace this old firewall with the next generation firewall, this suppose this firewall is your next generation firewall, it is capable to understand the content. So if Rob again saying some information to Bob, and it is going to land to the firewall, then it is capable to understand what information he is saying, and based on those information, basically he is going to take an action. So this is what additional security level we have in the next generation firewall. So I hope it is understandable to everyone. We not inspecting the layer 2, layer 3, and layer 4 and layer 7. We also inspecting the content while using the next generation firewall. But old firewalls are just very limited. They only inspect the layer 2 and layer 3 and layer 4 packets, not more than that. Any question, guys, here? Anyone having any question? Not understandable, not clear anything, just ask me. It's very, very important. This is a very basics. Okay. So again, I'm basic. And now after that, I'm going to talk something which is again very important for you all. So based on that, Any question if you have, you can just raise your hand and ask. If you understand, not understand anything, or just, let me know. So I'm just considering everyone is understand. Okay. All right. So the next thing, yeah, tell me.
No, it's all right.
Okay, that's fine. Great. So the next thing, that's why by referring this particular, let me just let me just take a snip of this. Probably we can use later, else it might be removed. So let me just take a snip. Okay, it will be there. Okay, all right. So the next is, what is next? So the next stage, we having a two concept. Okay, 90% interviewer ask this question. Again, I'm talking to the interviewer. I'm very practical because I gone through all the scenario, taking the interview, giving the interview, shortlisting the candidate, and deploying in the project. What the skill we have to check and how we to check. That's what I'm telling. If you go any of the interview, they will ask you this question must. What is difference between stateful firewall and the stateless firewall? And I'm pretty sure many of engineers got confused. They know the book is knowledge. They just read the Google and they just try to answer those things. But if you not understand the concept, probably you're not able to answer cross questioning based on your answer, what you read on the Googles or somewhere in the book. So the concept, what I explain here, this is a very important for the stateful and the stateless. So the first thing you have to keep in your mind, whenever you read a word stateless, just think this is your old firewall. So let me just clear this. So if you learn a word somewhere else, this is the stateless, just the legacy firewall or old firewall. Just you have to keep this in your mind. Okay. Whenever you learn the word stateless, this is a new firewall or next gen firewall. So this is very clear, right? So stateless, that means they are talking about the old firewall. Stateful, that means they are talking about new firewall. And once you having these two concepts, you just have to focus on this packet flow. So you should directly click on your mind. If I'm talking about the old firewall, that means only layer 2, layer 3, layer 4 inspection is going to happen. But the next generation firewall having the more advanced feature. This is one thing you just click in your mind. This is the first thing you just have to take care in your mind. What next? Now, what is different between these two? Old firewall and new firewall, and why they call it stateful, why they call stateless. So let's discuss about this. So when we are going to talk about the stateless, so the stateless meaning is we having a two thing concept in our router or switching or might be the firewall scenario. One we called ACL. I hope everyone is aware about the ACL. That is access control list, right? And another word we having the policy. So first thing, old firewall, and this is the new firewall. This old firewall use ACL. This use policy. This is another thing you have to take note, right? The two different we found that it's a very common, very generic, old new ACL policy. So what is ACL? What is the policy? So again, if you talk about the ACL and policy, this packet flow again help you to understand what is the ACL and what is the policy. So if I'm talking about the ACL having limitations, they can match based on the layer 3 headers and they can match based on the layer 4 headers, and based on the layer 3 headers and based on the layer 4 headers, either they can allow the traffic or they can deny the traffic. So this is ACLs, right? But if I talk about the policy can, work on the layer 3, layer 4, layer 7, and your content as well, and some additional field also. So policy is quite granular they having a more flexibility, more feature in compared to the ACL. But legacy firewall use ACLs because they having a limitations and policy used by the next generation firewall, which having the more flexibility, more features. I hope it is clear. So you just have to keep this also in your mind. Now again to the stateful and stateless. So what is going to happen? So once you're having the stateless firewall, that is a old firewall, legacy firewall, this firewall is going to maintain like some kind of the ACL, list or ACL configuration, ACL repository in their configuration file. This is how it is going to maintain. So once it is create the ACL, so let's suppose again Rob and Bob is want to talk, right? So Bob is wanted to talk. This is the firewall, right? So this time Rob send hello, right? So it is received by the Bob, and Bob also send hello, right? Again he say hello. Again he send hello. So keep hello hello happening, right? So we create one ACL here for the hello. So I'm saying if Rob is coming with this IP address and wanted to go with the IP address 2.2.2 with hello. Hello might be something you say port number, whatever you just think. And this is just representing the hello, right? So we just have to allow. So one time he is saying the hello, it is going to match. Okay, the IP is correct. Source IP is correct. This is source IP for this Rob. This is destination IP, this Bob. This is correct. This is correct. And if both are correct, then he's going to process the packet and going to allow. If second time saying hello, again it is going to check the IP is correct, not correct. And if it's correct, then it is allowed to hello. Third time going to check, it is going to do the same practice. That means every time if firewall receiving a packet, that is old firewall, legacy firewall receiving the packet based on the any source IP address, any destination IP address, it is going to check always ACLs. Even it process in first packet, second packet again it is going to check, third packet again going to check, fourth packet again going to check. So every time they keep checking the ACLs, and based on the ACL checking, they will process the allow or deny actions, right? So this is how the firewall is going to treat the packet when we having the stateless firewall, that is the old firewall. But if you change the scenario, again, this is the same scenario. We having a firewall and we having the Rob here connected, right? And here we having the Bob connected. This is the same scenario. Rob and Bob is want to talk. This Rob having this IP address 1.1.1, this one having 2.2.2. Then how the communication is going to be happen? So this is the one PC, this is the one PC. Now this firewall is not old or legacy firewall. This is the new firewall, which we called next generation firewall, which you call stateful firewall, right? So everybody you have to remember stateful firewall. So all three are the same. And if we talk the stateful firewall, that is not going to use the ACL, they are going to use the policy. So I hope it is clear to everyone. So whenever you talk the stateful, that means they are going to use the policy. So what next? So Rob want to talk with the Bob. So again, he wanted to send hello, right? Hello, he wanted to send from Rob to Bob. Packet will be created. In this packet, there would be the source 1.1.1, there would be destination 2.2.2. The firewall will receive the packet. This packet will come from here, this packet, and this is going to receive by the firewall. What firewall will do? Firewall will check, I receive very new packet. Do I have the policy, or you just think about the ACLs? So it found, yes, I have. So if you are the security engineer, you must have configured this. So it found, yes, I have this security or this particular policy. So if found that this is the security and this is the policy, it will process the packet. Definitely it will process the packet. And first time they will check the policy. First packet, check the policy. This is very important. You guys can write it on your notepad or whatever the notes were. So first time they will check the policy. But if the packet is going to repeat again based on the this source and destination or whatever the port or application, they are not going to check this policy. So this is the very key things. Second time, they are not going to check this policy. They will simply process the packet directly by referring the, you can say, cassette table or any kind of the, you can think about repository they have in their mind. We can call it as a state table. And based on that, they process. They were not going to check like every packet ACL or policy. No, they are not going to do that. So what they do basically, whenever packet arrive very first time, they maintain the state table. They maintain the state table and they having the ACL rules. So these based on the policy, they maintain the state table after hitting the first packet. After hitting the first packet. And then it is going to process when the packet is going to come again with the help of the state table, right? So it is going to be very fast. Fast switching is going to happen. No need to check again and again ACL. One time state table created, they're having some default timer value, we'll discuss later, and they keep switching the packet. So they are very fast in terms of the throughput and all, and they having to check a lot of security parameters. They keep doing the security things. So this is how stateful and stateless work. One stateless keep checking, stateful once check, always going to be processed based on the state whatever having their memory. You can just think about the cassette table. So you can see they are talking about some definition, and if I read this particular sentence, you can see here in a stateful versus the stateless firewall work by the treating each packet, clearly this written here, works by treating each packet as an isolated unit. The stateful firewall work by the maintaining the context about active session, use the state information to speed packet processing. So it's mentioned clearly in the slides what I explained. So you can self-explanatory understand now what is the stateful, what is the stateless, what kind of the packet is going to process in the old firewall, legacy firewall, what kind of the packet is going to process in the new firewall, next generation firewall, right? This is the clear. Now they are having some parameters. You can see treat each packet again a stateful, like maintain the context about the active session, use the state information to speed up the packet based on the information packet header. This is the packet filtering decision based on the flow. It's going to take the decisions. CPU is going to be low, CPU is going to be high because they have to maintain the state and all. So this is how their security is low, security is high because the next generation firewall connection status unknown in this case, in case known, and performance is fast, performance slower. Why performance slower? Overall firewall hardware, because they have to do a lot of checks, and here very low checks. So that's why it's going to be fast. I have to do more work, my productivity will be low. If you're just doing the one work, then your productivity will be high if I comparing the threshold. So this firewall is doing very limited checks. So it's a fast. He is doing very long list of the checking. So it's a very, can compare to the slow. So this is a stateless and a stateful. I believe it is clear. Any question, guys, here? Anyone having any doubt? Even someone is watching on the YouTube can ask the question if you're having anything in your mind. I can say 16 people is watching on the YouTube live also. So, 17, 18, 19, it's become sometime. Anything? Okay. So no worry. We are good here. So what next? So the next stage, we understand about the stateful, we understand about the stateless. Now the second question is going to ask in the interview, what is a firewall? Let me write here, and I'm sure many of us, what is firewall and what is proxy, right? So many people having very debate about the firewall versus proxy, and we always struggling to figure out the answer, right? So who is going to participate in discussion? Who want to define what is a firewall? What is any wrong, right answer could be okay. There's no problem. Just put yourself in the situation. I want to speak. I want to give my answer. It could be wrong. It could be right. I'm not saying there is no wrong and right while learning. So you can always ask yourself and try to answer, right? Anyone want to take a voluntary about the firewall and proxy? Any idea? Anything like proxy word you might be heard na somewhere. NK Sharma is asking, what is a legacy firewall? NK, you just have to, go back to this video after the lecture. I explained very detailed. Legacy firewall is old firewalls. That is, we using the previous time might be early of this 2020 or 90 after 95 or 2020 we were using the legacy firewall, but now every firewall is the next generation firewall who having the more features. So legacy firewall is the old firewall and new firewall is a like something we called the next generation firewalls. So I hope you understand. Okay, so now the question is, what is the firewall, what is the proxy? No need to worry, I'll explain if nobody wanted to participate. Okay, so okay, so the firewall is, we keep discussing about the firewall. Firewall is something which having the provision. Let's suppose this is a firewall. This firewall having the provision. This is your LAN network, right? So this LAN is connected with the firewall, and this firewall might be connected with the WAN. So this is your WAN infra. So this is your WAN infra, or by WAN ISP we can call, right? So this is how might be you connected to the Google servers, Yahoo server, anywhere you can connect it. So once the packet is coming from this LAN, it could be the private IP, right? And this section is basically public IP based communication, right? So the first thing, you just have to work from private to public. So LAN having the private. So what are the private IP range? We having class A, class B, and class C. Class A start from this range. /24. Class B start from 172.16.0.0 till 172. I believe 31.0. Right. This is what they use 16. And the class C start 192.168. I believe what 10.0/24 or 1.0. I just forgot the name. We just have to check, right? So these are class A, class B, class C private IP range. Okay. So this private IP cannot travel on the public cloud. That public cloud, if I told, that means the internet. So if you want to go on the internet, this is not possible. The private IP can route on the internet. So always, whenever you just go from the private to public, you just have to perform the NAT. So your firewall have to have changed your private IP to the public IP. So this is one thing you just have to take care of your mind. So private to public conversion is must be required here whenever you're going to the any kind of the communication. But if you're not using the firewall, you're just using the proxy here. If this using the proxy, then you not have to do this kind of the stuff. No NAT is going to required in the internal. What you have to do, simply whatever the traffic is coming from the LAN, it is in regard of the private or public, it's simply sent to the proxy. On behalf of you, proxy will initiate the session with the actual server which is hosted somewhere in the Google or might be the Yahoo. So this is your LAN, right? This is again your might be somewhere in cloud hosted proxy or might be the on-prem proxy. They will initiate connection with the actual Google or internet-based server, and then once they raise a connection toward the destination, once the reply is going to come, it will reply to you. So the proxy is something like if we are in the college, right? So we keep doing the proxy thing in attendance, right? So on behalf of someone, you are just trying to, put attendance in a class. We have done like this kind of stuff. So similar kind of thing is going to happen if you're using the proxy on behalf of your LAN. It is going to initiate the connection to the firewall, to the any destination. But this proxy also having more features similar to the firewall, like similar to the firewall. So what they can do, they also can do the URL filtering. They can do the SSL inspection. They can do like data filtering, DLP, right? They can, based on the different AD integration, they can do based on the user ID. You can drop or allow the connections. So almost now a term of the proxy and the firewall, they having almost similar features, but only the difference, the way of the deployment and more flexibility. So when you talk about the flexibility, proxy having the more flexibility in terms of the web traffics. So web traffics, if you're talking about, so whatever you are just going to the internet, cloud-based application, firewall might be not capable or process those kind of the connection very efficiently, which proxy can be do, right? But the feature is more or less are similar. The way of the working is just going to be changed in terms of the next generation firewall and proxy. So proxy not require the NAT, just send the connection. It is going to the internet. However, the firewall is going to require the NAT. Without NAT, your connection is not going to be out. Another things, if anything coming from the LAN to the proxy, and if proxy is replying to you, they will make sure there is no malicious content, no authorized consent, no data leaking. That all thing is going to be taken care of by the proxy. Similar way, firewall is also can do, but it is again it required the legacy native setup kind of the stuff. So here you can see the proxy and the firewall, they're having a definitions here. You can see firewall can monitor and filter the all incoming and outgoing traffic on the given local area network. However, proxy server connect to the external clients. So it is more about the external connections, web connections to communicate with each other. So it's all about the web traffics, web connections. If you're having such requirement, it can be the proxy server where it can be processed and it can be reply, but similar kind of feature again, it is going to be happen. It blocks the connection from the unauthorized access. It facilitates the connection over the networks, that is the public cloud networks, right? But if required, again, it is going to block the connection if you're not right person to process the traffic. It filter data by monitoring the IP packet that are the travels to the network. It filter the client side requests that are the made connect to the network. So whatever the client request we are coming based on that web traffic, user group, AD mapping, DNS mapping, whatever we having, they just monitor, and based on that, they just take the request whether it need to be allowed, whether need to be blocked. So almost similar thing we have. There is no problem. We not have to worry. It involve network as a transport layer data. It work as application layer data. This is the most important. So I told like application, that is the web. So everything proxy understand as a web. They're not taken care anything about what is IP, what is a port protocols. They're not taken care anything about that. It's simply like it's just going to understand what is the packet is going to happen, where the packet is going to happen, and what the web application you are going to happen. And based on that, they are just going to process the packet. It exit as an interface between the public and private network. Same, we have to do the NAT, right? So that is just intermediate device, which is exit from the public and private. And it is just exit with the public network on the both side. So whatever the traffic is coming, just send me the public, and it will receive, and again it will send to the public, and traffic will come again reply to you. So proxy is not having some kind of the private public segregation. No NAT is required. So flat network will be there. You just send to me. I'll take the rest of the thing on behalf of you. So this is how proxy is going to work, right? So Praveen Hans asked to make me the presentation mode. I have did, Praveen. Thank you for reminding me. The overlay granted in the firewall is more as compared to the proxy server. So this is what overhead granted in the firewall. So because you have to process the layer 3, layer 4, layer 7, so overhead is going to very high, but overhead like less in the proxy because you just have to focus on the web traffics. So whatever the web traffic is going to process with me, it is going to be perfect. I'll take care of everything. I'll just manage. I'll apply the right policy, right thing, and I'll just process the packet. And then finally, it work on the packet layer, and it is work on the application layer, right? So more on the applications, what application, what web you are using. So a lot of discussion I have. Guys, please ask question. Yeah, please. Hello? Any? Yeah.
Yeah, not is a proxy server also like the same as a firewall hardware, or only VM? How it was?
This is really good question. So earlier, the many company were using proxy as a hardware. So this was again a hardware when using the, still their company are using the proxy server as a hardware, but now it's more about the cloud. So people are not installing the hardware, they're just taking the services from the different vendors like Zscalers, one of the leading vendor, Palo Alto, right? And also we having Fortinet also having the cloud of the
Symantec
proxy.
Lookout proxy also.
Yeah, sorry.
Symantec Lookout proxy.
Yes, Blue Code and Cement. Yeah, you're right. Who's speaking?
Nilesh sir, Nilesh.
Oh, Nilesh. Okay, Nilesh. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely, you're right. Yeah, Nilesh. Thanks for contributing here. So yeah. So again, this is the Blue Code and Blue Code proxy. They all Symantec proxy. They all like basically hardware based. I believe they also having the cloud solution nowadays. So they are selling the cloud solution as well. So this is how it is going to work. Any other question we have? Because almost I have done for today, because I just wanted to focus this basic stateless, successful, and firewall things. But I can take any question if you're having anything in your mind. You can ask anything which we can discuss here. Because from Monday, I'll start the official syllabus here. You can see the SP3 architecture and flow logic. So probably we just have to focus more attention how the packet flow. You can see very complex scenario packet flow is just going to happen, and we just have to understand what is a slow path, what is a fast path. So I have one question from YouTube. So Pradhanesh Kenny is asking, when should we use the proxy along with the firewall, and when we can skip the proxy? Can you please help with the real life example? Good question. So the question is very interesting. Pradhanesh want to understand real time example when we can use proxy and when we can, use firewall with proxy. If I am right, this is the question, right? So this is a question like when we can use the proxy and when we can use with the firewall and the proxy together. So this is a very good question. So guys, see, the real time example also is emphasizing. So let me just give the real time example and deployment mode also. So proxy, if I'm talking, it's more about the web traffic. Proxy is more about the web traffic. So what is the web traffic? So if you are going on the internet, right, then whatever the URL you are accessing through the internet, that is known as a web traffic. So whenever you just using the proxy, it is more powerful to just protect from the web traffic. Now it's come to the internal network segmentations. Let's say suppose I don't want to go on the web. I have my office LAN. So this is my LAN A and this is my LAN B, right? And these are my internal, these are the LAN, so these are the private IP address. Now they are using what? Not internet-based communication. They are using Neeraj is asking to explain in Hindi. Okay. So they are using, private IP address, and I want to block PC A here hosted, and here is again PC B to not communicate to each other, and they are belong to the same building. Okay. Then how I can block them? Can I use a proxy to block them? The answer is no. The proxy is more about the understand the application layer, web traffic. So how we can block? So we can deploy the firewall. I'm just giving the very basic example. We can have the multiple way to just block this to PC. ACL we can apply, but ACL is still having the limitations. So if I use the firewall between these two LANs. Like you can see in this lab. Let me just open the lab so just you guys can understand. So this is the like, just hold on. The same scenario we have, what I am just talking. So, so now it's here. So this is my PC. This PC want to talk to this PC, and same time this PC want to talk to internet, right? So there's two scenarios. One, the packet is going to here. One, the packet is going to be internet. So when it is going to internet, I understand it's more about the web. It can go in the Google, it can go in the Facebook, it can go in the WhatsApp, Twitter, whatever it is. So I can use the proxy to just inspect those connections, what kind of the URL I want to allow, or what kind of the file server I want to allow, or what kind of the data leak protection I want to protect while going to the internet. So this is something where I can deploy the proxy. But if I want to block, this PC should not access this FTP server. I want to do the block on the layer 4 port status. FTP server is going to work on somewhere port. So then proxy might be not helpful for me, or might be not good solution for me. This is something my internal LAN on a DMG, one is a trust. So I can create the firewall rule here. I can deploy the firewall. I can implement the policy, and then I can block the things here. And the firewall, I can simply block. So this is how I can block the connection by using the firewall. This is the one way to just representation. Now the another things, can we use the proxy and firewall together? The answer is absolutely fine. Absolutely, we can do that. So what we have to do, you having a dual level of the security. One packet traffic is going to hit to the firewall, or might, if you not want to use the firewall, you just use the internet router here. And this internet router might be go to the proxy, and then it will go to the destination. Or if you not want to add additional cost here, if you want to do the same firewall, it will also send the all default route traffic, that is the internet with destination, to the proxy, and proxy will take care. So it's totally, I have designed this, and I have a lot of implementation for real-time scenario with the customer. Some customer having the router to just go with the proxy for the internet traffic, and for the firewall to just internal communication. And some customer, they just not use the router, they use the firewall while going to the internet proxy, and they also use the same time the same firewall to just blocking the connection. So this is how Pradhanesh, Kenny, we can use the firewall and the proxy together, or you want to use separate, you can use it. I hope it is understandable and you okay with the answer. Any other question, guys?
Hi, sir. Yeah, on this side.
Tell me.
Basically, nowadays we are using Palo Alto. This is a next generation firewall, right? Next generation India firewall, right?
Right.
Is it possible we can provide both proxy and as well as work as a firewall? And why use
that's a really good question. But the proxy and the firewall, their architecture and the hardware.
Basically, sir, firewall nowadays firewall work on network through up to application layer.
Right.
Firewalling is working over that application network transport up to application layer. I think we can configure proxy over the firewall. Is it okay?
So that's what I'm saying. Most of the next generation firewall are capable to capable to do the advanced level of filtering. They understand the layer 3, layer 4, layer 7, and the content. You understand, right?
Yes.
But there are still some advanced level things, right? So what the advanced level? Lights, we are working from home, right? We are working from home. Just think about this way. We are working from home. So this is my PC, right? And this PC, I connected with the open internet. Again, very important example. So this is my PC. I'm working from home. And there is one data center, right? DC. And there is one server is hosted, that is my SAP server, right? This is one scenario. Another scenario, I have the Azure cloud. Just think about that. Azure cloud. This is not my DC. This is Azure cloud. And here my another server is hosted, that is the ERP server. ERP server. Understand carefully, guys. I am sure this is a very unique concept. You just have to understand, right? So now you have to make the reachability from this PC with the both of the locations, right? So what solution we have in this scenario? What solution we have? So one solution we have, we can use VPN connections, right? VPN connection we can use, and based on the VPN connection, it could be the Global Protect, right? It could be the Zscaler GPA. You can use this one like AnyConnect Cisco, right? This one AnyConnect Cisco. This is again VPNs, right? Now, let me write here. So one is the global, second is GPA, third is the AnyConnect. Fourth could be the your any SSL VPN, right? Any technology you can use. And then let me just remove this particular line. This data center is hosted in the US, right? Just think this is data center is hosted in the US. So from home might be you are in the New Delhi. You are in the New Delhi and you just want to connect US to access the SAP server, and you just same time you just have to connect the Azure for the ERP server connection. So how the communication is going to happen? Might be you connect the Global Protect VPN. This is going to make the private connection with the help of the Palo Alto Firewall, which is hosted in the data center. So your connection is going to be private, encrypted through here to here. And from here, you having the internet circuit, internet router, and might be you connected with the Azure cloud. So absolutely you can access the SAP. And from this is the firewall, we having the internet cloud. And then from here, you can go and access the cloud. But let's say suppose this ARP server hosted in the Azure cloud, but this cloud in India, right? And it's again in the New Delhi. Again in the New Delhi. But to access this particular from New Delhi to this Azure server, you are going first to data center and then you are coming to the Azure. That's again in India. So you can see here we are adding the latency. You guys agree? Again, we are coming to Azure because we having the only one breakout available in the my US data center. So again, there is latency. Why not I can go directly from here to here? Why I can go here to here? I can go directly over the internet. So if this is the requirement, how we can do that? How we can do that? So in this kind of requirement, in real world, we having such kind of requirement always, then proxy play a very vital role. And they simply based on the pack files, based on the like we having the browser based proxy we can configure, and based on the they directly send the traffic toward the internet. They build the secure tunnels and they just send the traffic to the destination which is hosted in the cloud. So more and more cloud applications are growing nowadays. That's why more and more proxy is popular nowadays because they having the more feature like browser isolations. We cannot do the browser isolation feature in the proxy. We cannot do like if you're using the Zscaler, we having the concept that we run as the IP anchoring. We cannot do with that, right? So a lot of advanced features are also available in the proxy, which is not possible in the firewall for the some scenarios, right? Or might be if we are doing, we might be having some kind of the like limitations. So that's why companies are using the proxy and the firewall both together for the different scenario to meet the different requirement. So Yamar, is it understandable, digestible or not? Tell me, guys. Else I'll prepare a new example for you next class. Yamar, is it okay?
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, I understood.
Okay. Thank you. So what we can do, we can close session for today. Okay. And we can connect on the Monday, right? Okay. So I'll share the lab detail, everything this week, definitely to all. And you guys just test us and share the result, everything working or not. So it should work because I'll create on the public domain. So it is going to work and you guys can access the lab and all. Okay. So thank you so much, guys, and enjoy your weekend. We'll connect next
Thank
week.
you,
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you, Mangas. Thank you.
Thank you.